All right, here we are on the podcast. We got Ollie Musa.
Hell yeah,
on the
happy to be
podcast.
here.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you.
Yeah.
We were just talking. We were just doing some comic talk right before, and I think it's
Yes.
funny that like the way the comics really talk, you cannot really broadcast that.
No.
You know?
It's just like we're really authentic in being ourselves, but at the same time, we say shit that doesn't need to be out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's not like we're being fake now. It's just
No,
that
no,
there's
no.
certain things that the comics talk about behind
Right,
closed
right.
doors.
Like
that-
this fucking dude, blah, 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 blah. And then, all right, hey, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. It's like a combination of talking shit about people that
Yeah.
you don't want to put out there, and then also like jokes that should never be said.
Oh, my God. Yeah, those are the main two right there.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this is probably racist joke, and then
Yeah.
this guy's an asshole, and then here we go. Now we're on air.
Yeah, exactly. We have to be presentable to the public.
Right. We're,
Yeah. Well, think about this. Like, if you're watching and you're not a comic, it's like, we see jokes all the time. We're constantly
All the
writing
time.
jokes.
Yeah.
It's our entire world and our life. So think about the kind of jokes that it takes for comics to get excited.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's stuff that like regular audiences are never gonna laugh at, probably.
No. That's why it's so hard to gauge if a joke is funny in an all-comedian room.
It's so hard, yeah.
Because, I mean, if it's just so undeniably funny and comics laugh, it's like, all right, that's just funny. But sometimes we just laugh at fucked up shit that regular people aren't going to laugh at.
Right.
And it's satisfying as a comic to make a room of comics laugh, you know?
Mhm.
It can be, but it's different, though.
It is, yeah. And yeah, if you're a comic, we've all had those times where another comic will come up to you and be like, "Oh man, I love that one joke you have."
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
you mean the joke that killed at an open mic once and then never worked again?"
Oh, my God.
The joke that I bombed with in my
There's
act.
people who come up to me sometimes and like, I love your blah, like whatever joke. And I'm like, yeah, the one that literally bombs every single time.
yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, yeah. And then I think about it, it's like, yeah, that's one of my personal favorite jokes to tell, but
Right.
like audiences just don't feel it.
Yeah. I wonder if, man, I wonder if you could do this, if you could do like a comics special where it's like you like put all of those jokes. Dude, this might be a decent idea. So you get a bunch of comics together,
Yeah.
and it's like everyone does like a 10-minute set, and it's all of those jokes. It's like those
Right,
jokes they
right,
love that
right.
only comics love, and then the audience is 100% comics,
Yeah.
and then you tape
Oh my
it
God, that's cool.
with like the understanding. So like when non-comics watch it, the understanding is like, hey, this is comedy for comics.
Right.
So
right.
if you don't like it, it's like you're kind of not supposed to like it, but maybe you will.
right,
kinda
right.
thing,
Yeah.
you know?
That's a great idea, actually.
We should do that. That would be
Yeah,
kind of cool.
yeah,
actually.
that'd be fun.
Because it'd be a way to like put out stuff that's you're not really burning your actual material.
Right. Because
You
it's just
know?
like, this is like throwaway, just fucking
Yeah.
bullshit that only comedians and deranged
Right.
people like. you
It
know?
couldn't be like what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, like the
Right.
like the in the car on the way to a gig jokes.
Right.
It's more of
Right,
like
right.
it's more of like the jokes that are actually told on stage,
Exactly.
but that don't really
the
work.
hit or miss weird jokes, you know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever been done before.
Yeah,
I mean,
know.
that's just like any given fucking open mic, but as far as like filming it like a real show,
right, exactly.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, because you do because you could even do because the better ones, you do like
Yes.
the better ones of those that you have, because most comics I've just been doing a while probably have at least 10 minutes of that. I
Of
would
course.
imagine.
Yeah.
I probably have 90 minutes of that.
Oh my
if
God,
I really
yeah.
tried to remember all of them.
It's like, you mean my real act?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, exactly. The stuff I actually wish I could do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, damn. That actually might be cool to do. Now I'm like, fuck, is someone going to steal it now?
No
On
shit.
podcast?
It's like, cut this out.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, let's do it tonight so we can
Right.
fucking jump on it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, good to have you on because you
Yeah.
were in Tucson. You grew up in Tucson.
I
right?
grew up in Tucson, and then I started stand-up in Tucson in 2011. It's crazy how long
Oh,
it's
wow,
been.
yeah.
And then was out there for, I lived there, but did it my first couple of years
Mm-hmm.
in Tucson doing stand-up. Then I moved to Phoenix for like 4 years,
Okay.
then back to Tucson for a few years, and then here in Austin for a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
over 2 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember because that's when we met working at the
Yeah.
clubs at Laughs.
Maybe
the
like
club at Laughs out there.
2018,
I
2019.
think sounds about right, 2018.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
yeah.
was the first time that I got up there, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that was like for a long time the only club I could get work at. So I would just drive from Nashville all the way to
Yeah.
Tucson.
What? That's like a 2-day drive, right?
Yeah. Well, if you don't stop a day and a half, yeah.
Right.
What I used to do is drive all the way from Nashville to Midland, Texas, all in one shot. And I forget how far that was. That was maybe 12, 15 hours or something.
Yeah.
But 12, I think. And then I would sleep in my car at a rest stop. And I never even planned it, but it ended up being the same rest stop a lot of the time.
Really?
Like, because it was just about that time when I'd be like, all right, it's time to sleep. And I would end up at the same one a lot. And I'd sleep for about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Which is about the most you can sleep in your car, I feel like.
Dude, one time, this is crazy to say, but I slept in at a rest stop one time.
Slept in?
Like slept in. Like I'm talking about like I was comfortable enough to sleep for like 7 hours and wake up at like 11 a.m. with the sun beating on my fucking forehead. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like a rest stop is like usually just a few hours, get fucking refueled and then move along. But I slept. It was crazy.
That's nuts.
It was actually driving back from Nashville a couple years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
There's always something. Because what I would do, I have a Yukon, just a regular size,
right.
like suburban Yukon, or not suburban. It would be like the Chevy version would be the Tahoe, and I would sleep in the back. But there's always something uncomfortable back there that I could overcome by being tired, but it would kick in about 4 hours.
Oh my god! I just realized you were thinking. I was saying I slept like inside of the rest stop.
I know that's what I was thinking. I was like, you slept in?
Oh my god! No, just in my fucking Corolla out next to a dumpster. I remember. Because it had like the shade right there, but then once the sun came up, it was just fucking on my head. Oh my god,
that's always brutal. And like you wake up, you're sweating, like you've been sweating, and you wake up, you're all sweaty and fucking hot.
Oh my god, that's the way to do it though. Save money, and it's just quick and easy.
It is, because that's why I would do it that way. Because there's like no point to getting another hotel room.
No,
I would have a hotel room once I got there.
Right.
So I knew it was just like, all right, I just got to get there. Then I can take a shower, take a nap, whatever, and then do the show.
Right.
Yeah. Sleeping, there's something like there's an uncomfortableness to doing the road sometimes, but there's something very like fulfilling about it. It feels like you're a fucking cowboy. You know what I mean?
There's something exciting about it too. Because I slept in like this really shady fucking rest stop. Like that just looked like, I was like, people have been abducted here. Sexual assaults have gone on here for sure. So I'm just like, asleep and like my gun is like within arm's reach.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what I was gonna ask. I was like, you got a gun with you, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I usually in the wintertime I'll be wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
And if I'm sleeping like short nap where I'm like just not in the back, I'm just like in the driver's seat, I'll lean back and I'll put it right underneath my hoodie, and I'll have my hand under it.
God,
so it's like I'm sleeping like this, but I literally got my hand on it.
Don't have a bad dream and start like have a dream about shooting. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Usually I have it. That's the one thing about 1911s.
Okay.
It's kind of nice is you've got the thumb safety on there for that specific situation. I mean, normally I'm not like a big safety guy when it comes to like manual safeties, but for that specific situation, like because like if I had a Glock, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I wouldn't have my hand on it. But with a 1911, I feel more comfortable doing that.
Right.
But yeah, you always gotta have a little something there because you never know.
Yeah. I know because a lot of comics, I mean, it can go both ways, especially like now, but a lot of comics like don't have guns. I've noticed. I've talked to them. They're not against it. They're like, I should probably get one, and they just don't.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, they're sleeping at rest stops with just like a fucking pocket knife and shit.
That's the craziest thing to me when people think a pocket knife is a self-defense weapon of any kind.
It's like those dumbasses in horror movies. They like stay at some cabin in the middle of nowhere and they have a fucking golf club.
Yeah.
It's just like, really? That's the best you can come up with?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I used to do this joke. Again, it was one of those like open mic jokes that never survived. But it was about how, yeah. I know. I was like almost forgot what it was. Now I remember what it was. It was. I think it's crazy when people have a baseball bat for home defense.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that's not going to do anything. They're going to have a gun. You're better off if you had a literal bat.
Yeah.
You just threw a bat.
Right.
At someone that breaks in.
That's
like,
way more intimidating too.
Yeah. For real. Yeah, imagine it if you had a flock of them too.
Right.
Are bats a flock? Is that?
I think so.
Okay, they're kind of like birds.
Have you gone to the Bat Cave here?
No, I haven't.
I have not gone to it yet either. I've lived here over 2 years, but everyone talks about the Bat Bridge or some shit like that.
Yeah, bats are They're pretty freaky.
They're fucking terrifying.
They're like little rats with wings.
I had one hit me in the head one time.
Oh, damn.
Because they used to just swoop down. Like, we'd go to the park and just play basketball or baseball or whatever, and they would just we'd throw rocks in the air, and they would swoop down at them. And one time, one just hit me in the fucking head on the basketball court. It didn't hurt or anything, but it was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Damn. Yeah, I remember, like growing up in Tennessee, we'd do that, throw the rocks up, and you see them dive bomb it, you know. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I found one in the woods in this, like, it wasn't a cave, but it was like this rock overhang, and it was kind of like nestled up in there. And I it was a little baby one. I actually like grabbed it and like took it back home, you know.
Oh my God.
And my mom freaked out, of course. She's like, they have rabies, you know. I was
like most people bring home a fucking frog or a lizard. You bring home a fucking diseased bat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck?
I was like, what is this little thing?
That is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I'll never forget. This is a random ass story, but I'll never forget one time I was, when I was in high school with my buddy Jesse, who's been on this podcast before.
Nice.
We were having a field party, and it was right next to this pond, right?
Yeah.
And somehow, I mean, he was drunk as hell, but somehow he caught a bullfrog.
Wow.
I don't know how. I don't know if the bullfrog was like also drunk or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see him catch it. I just know he did catch it because he had one. That's the only way you get one.
Yeah.
Right. And I was drunk enough to like not question like how he got it, but he had it. And then I was like, you should hand it to that girl right there. That was what I thought.
Oh my God.
I thought it would be funny, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. And there was this like pretty attractive lady, and he was like,
just a random woman who wasn't even a part of your. Like,
no, she was there at the party.
Okay.
Yeah. But we didn't like know her. You know, she was like probably friends with someone else who was there, or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, you should hand it to her. And he goes, all right. And he goes, here, take this. And the prank ended up turning on us because she goes, oh, it's so cute. And she just grabbed it and like held it for a little bit. God. She thought it was great. She loved it.
That's hilarious.
I was like, well, damn, that didn't work out.
Right. That's some Beavis and Butthead shit.
It is, yeah.
Oh my God.
You ever see? I don't know if you probably didn't get bullfrogs in Tucson.
No, but they are. Since my mom's side of the family's from Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
We used to go out there over the summer sometimes, and there'd just be fucking, I don't know if you call it hordes of just little frogs, though.
Oh,
where
wow.
you'd go outside and there'd be fucking thousands of them. Like it was insane.
Like toads or like
frogs.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, just like I don't know what species or kind they are, but these little fucking frogs, they'd be hopping and jumping around everywhere, and there'd be like when I say thousands, I'm not exaggerating. Like it was like fucking everywhere. Wow. And we used to catch them, and I would name them and shit. Yeah. And they would die like 2 days later. So yeah, because you have it living in a fucking jar, you dumbass.
I know. God damn. The kids kill so many animals.
Oh my God, yeah. And then I guess it's a way to like fucking prepare yourself for death.
Maybe so.
You know?
Yeah.
Just get yourself a fucking lizard and just put it in a shoebox and just don't take care of it.
Maybe that's how like that's how you should find out. You can find out who the psychos are. Right. Because all little kids do things like I remember when I was a little kid, I caught a toad and I pulled its tongue out because I wanted to see how long it was.
Yeah.
You know, like things like that, right? But then like you start to like be like, wait a minute, this is bad. You know?
Right.
Like I remember at the beach, I caught like a crab and some things, and I put it in a bucket and I brought it back. And then they all died because there was no movement in the water, right?
I'm just waiting for this to get worse and worse. And then I found this cat. I cut its head off, just to see how long it would move around without it.
Yeah, and then I found this kid, and I was like, I wonder what this is like, you know?
I tied up this little girl in our neighborhood, Didn't feed her for like 4 days.
There's how they need food and water to live.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. But it's like, I'm not a psycho, so it stopped there, right?
Right.
But you do hear about kids like hanging cats and killing dogs and stuff like that. So it's like I feel like most kids have killed at least like bugs and small
even if
little
it's
animals.
An unintentional thing too, or even
like you don't know
if it's just like a small little
That was the
reptile.
thing. I never like intentionally killed. It was just like I just was dumb. I was 3 or whatever, you know? But then once they get a little older, and whenever like kids start doing stuff to like pets,
Yeah.
That's when you should start
Right.
to worry.
I remember when I was in elementary school, there was like a cat killer at our school, but we didn't know if it was a student or not because on like 2 different instances, there was dead cats found on the playground.
Yeah.
One had like its head missing, and we were all suspecting, like, is it Chad? He would do something like that, wouldn't he? Like, oh, maybe it's Robert. And we were all just like looking at it like fucking, like it was Clue or some shit.
Right,
like,
yeah.
who's killing the cats? You
Yeah.
know?
Jesus.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like one of the fucking like monitors found it like out near one of the trees, just the body of a fucking headless cat. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. I knew this kid when I was in middle school who he was just like this insane kid, and he got his PlayStation taken away.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
And yeah, exactly. It's PlayStation 2. Showing my age. And PS2, that was a good one, you know.
Oh, that's the best system of all time, based on games, based on like a library of games.
I agree. Yeah. It's like probably PS2, and then maybe like the N64.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
GameCube is up there, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he got his PS2 taken away, and he got so angry about it that he stuck a pencil up his cat's ass.
What?
Yeah. What a psycho.
That is insane. What the fuck does a cat have to do with anything?
I know.
When it comes to a PS2.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Crazy.
It's like, I got a ticket, so I fucking, choked my wife or something. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. I'm sure it's happened.
oh yeah, for sure. Taking out rage like that.
Yeah.
How did you even find out that information? Like,
he told us.
He told us?
Yeah. He's on the basketball team. He just like told
Oh
us.
my God. It'd be funny if he was telling you that story mid-game, and then he fucking just does like his Hakeem Olajuwon shake, and then hits a fucking layup afterward.
He was a terrible, terrible player. Should not have been on the team.
Oh my God.
He had his mom was like worked at the school or something.
Right, one of
Those kind of deals.
Did you play a lot of basketball?
I did. Yeah, I played all through. All the way up until like college.
Okay.
Briefly. Didn't have much of a college career, but I played for a little bit.
Yeah. It's fucking cool.
It's fun. I it's one of those things where I wish I could go back in time with like, my understanding now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know like that I had to like work hard at it.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm 7'12", so like, I just kind of stand here. Everyone else is 6 foot max.
Right.
So I'm a walking double, even if I'm like hungover and disengaged,
Yeah, it's a shame. There's some kind of famous quote where it's like, what is it? It's like, wisdom is like waste, or youth is wasted on the young, or something like that. Where it's like when you get older, you realize all these things.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, if I had this knowledge and was young.
Right. No shit. It doesn't help you now. Fuck.
Yeah. The world is, that's one thing that's weird. It's like the world gets more and more complicated.
The more access to information we have too, you'd think that it would like help a little more, but I think there's so much that it makes it just it's negligible or something.
Right.
It's just like it offsets everything.
Yeah, totally. And it doesn't help too that school is so outdated.
Oh yeah.
It especially now. Even like when we were kids, we understood like when am I going to use half of this stuff? And then now it's like especially outdated.
And it's just kind of like a lot of it's not even like practical fucking like learning. It's just like, it's memorization of who the hell can fucking remember to do this best.
Exactly.
I mean, there's some like comprehension skills that matter and all that, but when it came to like quizzes and certain things, I was just like, this is just boring.
Right.
This doesn't really measure how intelligent or what I should be doing in life. You know?
Exactly. And I've always thought that they try to teach you like too challenging of things like too early on.
Yeah.
Like I remember like math, for example, like multiplication, all that kind of stuff. They're just trying to like cram all that into your head when you're a child and you just want to think about, hitting people with sticks or something,
Right.
throwing dirt clods at each other. And
then teach you nothing about banking or taxes or anything.
Right, exactly.
Just multiplication. That's all that fucking matters.
They could have just taught us like that simple math shit in high school. Would have figured it out so quick, And instead they just like stair step it like every year. I don't know. To me, that whole system has been broken for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. It's like it takes 18 years just to prepare you for
society? To like not know anything in regard to the real world.
Right.
Exactly. What kind of 18-year-old comes out of high school like ready?
No, none of them.
None.
I feel like I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, no shit. Same here.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what that answer to it is. I mean, on a certain level, like I feel like the model of school is kind of like not even about preparing you for life. It's just about a place for you to be while your parents work.
Yeah, pretty
Really
much.
Is all it is.
It's because I mean, how the hell are the bills going to get paid if your parents have to watch you all the time?
Right.
So it's
Daycare.
yeah, pretty much.
But they might as well be teaching you something you can actually use. Or hell, let's just start working. Start making some money.
Fucking 7-year-olds fucking just working desk jobs and shit. Fuck it. Just get them while they're young.
Yeah, exactly. Start investing.
Go to the DMV. There's like some 8-year-old smoking a cigarette pissed off. You know?
Yeah. I mean, on a certain level, it's like, might as well, you know? I mean, they used to do that, and they had child labor laws. Like, you don't want kids slaving away in some factory.
Well, a lot of family-owned businesses will still do shit like that, where there's like clearly like a 13-year-old just working the front, you know, or 12-year-old or whatever.
Yep.
Because it's just like you can't be at home alone right now, so you're just gonna come and we're not even gonna fucking pay you, but you're gonna work the front,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
You being alive and being able to, you know, sleep under our roof is your payment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But some of those kids probably grow up pretty well adjusted if they.
I feel like that they'd be way more responsible and have an understanding of, you know, just money and just responsibility.
Yeah.
More than just a kid that goes to fucking school.
Yeah.
5 days a week. I was diagnosed with ADHD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and got put on Ritalin.
Yep, I was on that too.
Really? Fucking A. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like.
Then they later found out that shit was not good.
Oh, fuck no, dude. I found out like I was like immune to it because like Ritalin is basically like Adderall.
Yeah.
So I remember like when I was like fucking right out of high school, I was maybe like 18 or 19. It might have been like probably 18. I think it was the summer after high school. And I'd been off of Ritalin for a little bit at that point. But I'd like become immune to it or something because we were at a party and people were snorting Ritalin. And I swear to God, I snorted like a big amount and felt nothing. And everyone else was all whacked out and like, oh, fuck yeah. And I'm just like, I don't feel shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I've been on this shit since I was 7. Like, you got any cocaine? Like, what is this shit?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Is the camera off or is the screen turned around?
You turned the screen around.
Did I?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go check just to make sure. That would be the worst.
Yeah. We're good.
Hell yeah. Fuck it. We'll leave all that in.
We'll leave it in. Fuck it.
Hey, these days you got to prove that it's not AI, you know?
Oh my God. Dude, AI is getting so fucking exponentially crazier just by the minute, it feels like now. Because you know, like that law, well, because I forget what it's called, but like if you look at just like the year 12 all the way up to like the year 500, there's like not a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you just look at just like 1700 to 1800, you know. Mm-hmm. But if you look at even like 2000 to now, so like I guess the more we accelerate,
right.
I heard something where they're like in like 100 years, what we saw in like the jump we saw in 100 years will be like done in like an hour. Like, and if you look at it, it's kind of true. Because if you look at fucking 1800 to like 1900, there's electricity and certain things that jump up, but not like now. Mm-hmm. So just even AI in the last few years, it started off all like robotic and choppy, but impressive. But now there's like fucking George Carlin's comedy special. Did you listen to that?
It's so disgusting,
bro. Yeah. It was.
It didn't like it wasn't punchy. It didn't understand how to do punchlines.
But it was still impressive though. The fact that is all AI and automated. Yeah, I mean, just that's fucking crazy because it's 2024, which is that's an insane year to be like we're in 2024 because that's like a sci-fi movie.
Right.
If you think about as a child, the movies you watched. Sometimes like I'll watch an old sci-fi movie from like 1970 and it's like in the year 2021 and they're on like a flying spacecraft. And we're 3 years beyond that now.
Yeah.
You know.
You notice they didn't understand screens though. If you watch old depictions of it, like they had no idea about flat screen TVs.
No, it was all big bulbous bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like look at the screens of Star Wars. It's like just very crude green, you know. Like
right,
graphics.
right.
Yeah. It's the AI thing is, man, I don't know what to think about it yet. I mean, there's a lot of negatives, like especially with art and stuff like that. Like theoretically, it could like destroy art
for sure.
But also, even now, if there's an artist who's copying someone else, like once people figure it out, like no one wants to see their shit anymore.
Right.
I mean, the fact that it's human is human and original is what makes people
has
like
the value. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think there'll be like a backlash when it comes to AI art.
Yeah.
Maybe not like pictures and like silly stuff that's made, but as far as like true respectable
movies, music, comedy, all of that, you know, people want like a real human experience and knowing that it's a person and not some fucking bullshit.
Right.
You know, fucking robotic algorithm shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, and it will be like, you know, I kind of think that there'll be this, what we'll see happen is kind of like what happened with food, right?
Yeah.
Where there was a time when like the branding of food looking like super official and legit was like had value, you know?
Yeah.
Like when fast food was like huge and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, but nowadays if you're at a grocery store and you're looking to buy, let's say you're going to buy a biscuit mix or something, right? You know, if you see like this big colorful box, you know there's probably poison in it.
Of course, yeah.
But if you see this like very crude, you know, thing with like it's like paper bundled with twine,
yeah,
and it's like Susie's Alabama biscuits or something, you know, it's like you're like that's the one I want.
That's the one, exactly.
You know, so I think the same thing will happen with like content and art, where the
that's
rawness
a good
of
comparison
it
for sure
will kind of have the value, you know.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's definitely fascinating and impressive, but I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
So much. Like, I mean, come on. You know, even like the art, like I feel like those like generators, those apps are kind of fun because you can just type in a phrase and it just makes it really quick.
Yeah.
You're just, you know, just whatever, like, you know, just a silly combination of words and it just shows it to you. And sometimes it can be fucking funny.
Right. Like stuff like that is cool.
Right. For sure.
I think for, even though video games are art, I think AI will like, you know, even in video editing, you know, like when I make the thumbnails for this podcast, you know, I use this program that has AI in it, which can like isolate backgrounds and things like that. You know, like I feel like those kind of things are cool.
Yeah.
You know, because it just helps you create the art. It's not doing it for you.
Right.
It's just a tool. Like video games, for example, I would not be surprised if by the time, I mean, so GTA 6 is not even going to come out for like another year.
It comes out 2025.
Right. So it'll be a year and a half, you know,
yeah.
almost 2 years from now. So GTA 7, you know, that could be another 10, 15 years out.
Considering how long it's taken the sequels to come out, yeah.
Exactly. By then, I would not be surprised if AI is implemented in a way to where it's not what city is it going to be. It could be the entire country, the world.
Yeah.
Literally the world. It could be a sandbox of the world.
Right.
You know, because if you make, I mean, think about it. Just AI, the way it even already works, if you make one town, one city, then you could basically like feed it information about, you know, through Google Maps and all satellite photos, just all the photos on the internet that it has access to. They could probably just generate, you know, the entire planet to where you could just go inside any building or whatever.
You know, one thing I've noticed though, when it comes to like VR and then like virtual like reality video games, it still looks like shit for the most part.
Yeah, I've not done VR yet, so the graphics are still bad.
No, the graphics still look like PS3 at absolute best.
Really? Okay.
So I would think that, you know, the year we're in and how advanced everything's getting, it would look borderline like CGI in a movie, or at least like good PS5 graphics. It looks like PS2, PS3. Like it still looks like The Sims and shit.
Yeah.
Which is odd to me because like it's so popular and we have all these graphic advancements when it comes to playing the game, but when like you have the fucking headset on, it still looks like shit to me.
Is it because it's like so much information, I guess?
Maybe.
Because if you look, you know, you think you're still only looking at that small window wherever you look, but I guess it has to render all that.
Right. So for some reason they're not capable yet, at least, of having like really advanced looking graphics. Because I would think that, you know, I'm not expecting it to look like real life, but like a cutscene in like a PS4 game where that looks pretty good. It's not even close to that.
Oh yeah.
which is weird to me.
It's interesting. I've had this theory for years, and I'm curious to see if it like pans out. Where I think because VR sort of started as a thing you can buy and do in your house.
Yeah,
I think VR will get so good that no one does it at home anymore because you can only do it at a place.
right.
You know what I mean? Because they'll find out that like they can make VR like crazy good, but only if it's like this $20 million system.
Right.
That
Yeah.
no one could afford to have in their house. It's just like an arcade. You go and you pay $100, $200, and you're for an hour or something like that, and you're on this omnidirectional thing, and you got like a suit on, and it's like I kind of have a feeling it'll be like that for a while, and then maybe technology get to the point where it's like we can sync up in our brains where we like think we're in this other place.
Right. That's fucking crazy.
There's no telling. It's so hard to predict what direction technology is gonna go, because you never know, because sometimes things will like plateau.
Yeah.
Like phones have kind of done that. Phones
a little bit,
kind
yeah,
of,
for sure.
This
was interesting to me. It's one of my favorite movies ever, but like, you ever watch a movie like you've seen it a million times, but you notice something new about it or think about something different every time you watch it?
Yeah.
So the movie Aliens, it takes place in like the year, I forget the year, it's like 2150 or something. It's like way out in the future, or 22 something. And I'm like, okay, they have these advanced spacecrafts, but like they have like those kind of sophisticated like guns.
The flamethrowers, yeah.
The flamethrowers, but like it's still like regular ammunition. And then when they're like up against the wall, this dude just pulls out like a 1911 side piece and starts shooting at the alien. I'm like, that's the best you have in the year 2200?
Right, yeah.
Like, you'd think they'd have like lasers or some shit.
Right,
like,
exactly. Yeah, that's just all they could think of, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was 1986, so I get it. But I'm just like, you really think that they're only going to have a regular fucking just 9 millimeters and shit, man?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, I wonder what the next like big evolution will be when it comes to like small arms, like guns.
Right.
Because so what we understand about lasers now is it's not like because technically we call them laser guns in Star Wars and all that, but they're technically not laser guns. Right, because a laser gun would be you turn it on, there's a continuous beam,
right,
you like move around. So it's actually like a projectile.
Yeah.
So theoretically, in Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, they're actually firing some sort of material like a bullet. It just burns at such a high.
Right. So it's shooting like I don't know if what you would call it,
plasma,
maybe,
or
right.
But there could be. I mean, I could see that happening where there's some sort of material that, can be stored at just like this absurdly high heat inside of the grip of the gun or whatever.
Right.
And then you can expel it through some sort of maybe magnetic force or some sort of energy that can expel it. So, so you essentially have this like bullet that is just like so hot, it'll pass through anything.
Right.
Or I tell you what would be really crazy is what if the technology got to the point where like the gun had this AI in it where you could like program it you could just determine what you wanted it to penetrate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You have a fucking menu option.
Yeah. Like for example, because that's an issue with home defense, right? Where if a guy breaks into your house, especially if you live in an apartment or something like that, like bullets are going to pass through a lot of fucking shit. A lot of walls. So you could shoot someone you don't want to shoot.
Right.
But imagine a world where you could have it set for like where it doesn't penetrate any walls.
Right.
But you could adjust it. You could be like, I got to shoot this guy through this wall right now. So I got to adjust it.
Right. Turn up the
juice.
Power. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't know how that would work, but I mean, there's no telling where it could go. Or it could be like sonic weapons. That could be the future. Right. Where it's like, I mean, that could be a thing that comes where, there's like legit non-lethal ways of like putting
just like
someone
a
down.
stun gun type thing. Like what's the movie where it kind of like electrocutes you and you collapse?
Oh,
you
right.
know, where you get shot and it's like, and they fall down and then they drag them away type deal. So it's like kind of tasing you, but way more powerful. And it kind of, there's no attachment to it. It's just
right. Because like right now, like a taser is not as reliable as a gun. Because dude,
I watch so many videos where people just don't even feel a fucking taser.
Right.
I know it's a combination. Sometimes like it's not even someone on PCP. It's just a dude who's just like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've been shot for real before. You think I give a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just continue to fight and they're being tased and they don't. And then other people, even big tough looking dudes, will just fucking collapse. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
I think some people have like a different tolerance to
for
electricity.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pepper spray for sure is like that.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not a reliable. But there could be some kind of thing like that, like you're talking about, where it's like shoot someone and it gives them electric shock and they go down. Or again, if there's some kind of sonic weapon where it just like scrambles and confuses your mind for a minute and you just are like incapacitated or something.
What's that fucking? What's it called? Oh, is it the microwave gun or something? There's like supposedly like this. What the fuck's it called? Oh, heart attack gun. That's what I'm thinking of. Supposedly, since like the 60s, they've had a heart attack gun where if you aim it at someone, it can give them a fucking stroke or a heart attack. And it's apparently been around for like years, like 60 years or some shit.
Wow.
I don't know if it's real.
I bet it is.
I bet it is too.
I bet it is real.
The technology that they fucking have, because I feel like that, you know, clearly like we just figure things out, but all of the same materials kind of exist now that existed back then. So it's like, who's to say someone wasn't way ahead of the fucking game?
Damn, that's a great point.
You know, back in the fucking 30s, and someone had like, you know, the ability to do shit that would be like crazy now, but it was 100 years ago.
And if you think about it, the only technology we really get to see is the marketable stuff.
Right. Who the fuck knows what's going on behind closed doors and in testing rooms and all this shit?
Imagine what you could make with no budget, no concerns for budget, no concerns for liability.
Oh my God, right?
You know? Yo, there's no telling what they got.
Right. Well, just like the large, what's that thing called? The Large Hadron Collider, where they create black holes and shit.
Yeah.
And there was like, I guess a couple years ago, they said that they proved that there could be like completely different like dimensions.
Yeah.
Like they were able to like measure and prove it wasn't just like a theory anymore. Maybe I'm butchering this and it could not like be true.
Yeah,
but
and I've heard something about
something
that.
like that. I was like, I believe it.
Yeah. Yep. There's some kind of, I forget what it's called, like quantum mechanics, maybe. I don't know.
Quantum physics?
Something like that. But then there's some kind of thing that they proved where there was like certain particles that don't exist without being observed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the ways I think that they
That's
like
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll really mess with your head.
Right.
Start thinking about that, you know, because you think about it's like, you know, the concept of simulation theory,
right?
You know, which is a bunch of different theories, but for those who don't know, there's this like theory out there that civilization, you know, whatever we are originally, whether we're human or maybe we're something else, got so advanced that we took care of all of our problems and it's just boring. So we had to create this computer program just to entertain ourselves. And it only works if we don't know we're in it, right? So then it creates this loop. So then you like conquer the computer program, and then within that, the program is so sophisticated that like within that program, you create another one. And you just keep, and this is like a cycle that keeps repeating itself.
It's like a crazy version of the Truman Show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I kind of believe shit like that.
I mean, it makes sense. That's the thing.
Right.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Because as much as we bitch about our lives, if everything was great, I mean, what would you do?
No shit.
You know?
Right.
Like a struggle and accomplishment is what it's kind of all about.
That's the one thing, you know, being like a struggling comedian living in a city that's way too highly priced and stuff. I'm like, one thing I can say is my life isn't boring.
Right. Yeah.
You know, there's always something you got to try to fucking figure out.
Yep.
And do, you know.
Exactly. It's that's what we're built to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be like to the point where you're just like buried by challenges.
Right. Yeah. And then,
right. There's like definitely a happy medium.
And you got to make it the easiest you can on yourself by not being just like a complete fuck up, like drug addict or just like whatever, just things that you can easily fall into in this world simulation, whatever you want to call it. But
funny, someone like is listening to this right now and they have like just a good life. They're like, oh, you're right. Challenges are fucking cool. All right, I'm going to start doing crack. Right. I'm going to wreck my car.
Fucking Kevin Hart somehow is listening to this. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to become addicted to something.
Yeah. That's why it's like I've never like been rich, but like people like to act like rich people don't have problems,
Right.
but they for sure do because
It's a different kind of problem.
exactly. Like if you don't have enough money to sustain the lifestyle that you want,
Yeah.
then that's going to be kind of your primary focus. But if you get to a point where that's no longer an issue,
Yeah.
then in some ways you may have bigger problems. Because you hear
Right.
about rich people like committing suicide,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
losing their minds, selling all their stuff.
Right.
Doing all
Plus,
kinds of weird
having to
things.
maintain all that shit too, even if it is easily affordable with what they're doing, just feels like a burden.
Right.
When someone like even just delivering fucking food and shit to some of these fancy neighborhoods, I'm just like, to have a fucking house that has like a fucking waterfall in the front yard and shit, and 5 fucking cars, and then I'm just like. Just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a minimalist or what, but, I have a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't have a lot of shit. Sometimes people who, like, come over, they're like, oh, did you just move in here? And I'm just like, no, I've lived here, like, 2 years. They're like, oh, shit. So I'm like, I have what I need. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you become more of, like, a target. Like, even on a smaller scale, I just upgraded my camera stuff.
Yeah.
So I can, get some better footage of, as you're seeing right now, I'm using one of my cameras, new cameras, and I can get better footage for different video projects I'm doing, filming comedy and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But one of the problems I thought about was like, now I got these expensive ass cameras and lenses and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So when I'm like going and filming comedy, it's like that's like more to think about.
Yeah. For sure.
I have to keep a better eye on it and be careful about where I put it and stuff.
I meet so many comics that get their shit stolen and like robbed and stuff, or like out of their car, or even like at like a show or something. They're like, oh fuck, my laptop and camera got stolen. I'm just like, damn, you need to.
You can't just leave it in your car. I mean, it limits what I can do. Like, for example, if I bring my cameras to go film a show, and then it's like, hey, there's an open mic after. You want to go? It's like, if I go, I'm going to have to bring all my stuff in there with me. I can't just leave it in my car parked in this downtown Austin.
Oh my dude, we did a show like 2 months ago, and it was not even in like Austin. It was in Cedar Park, which is way more low key, just chill. Just like a completely different vibe than like Austin.
Yeah.
And we did this show, and everyone did well, and everyone was just like hanging out afterwards. The audience. It was like this comedian like had like her whole work show up, and they were being like super thankful. Like, yeah, that was great. During the show, someone broke into one of the audience members' car and like stole their laptop. So it went from like great vibes, everyone's laughing, to just like this dude in the parking lot all fucking pissed off. That his car got broken into. Then the cops showed up, and I'm just like, fuck, man. And it's one of those things too. It's like, just don't leave a bag in your front seat. You know, I don't want to say the person that got their shit stolen, it's their fault.
Yeah.
But come on, you don't leave a big bag. I mean, it wasn't like downtown Austin, so I get it, but we were just like, fuck, man.
Still, it can happen anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep shit out of sight,
Yeah. It's like people that will have gun stickers on their car.
Oh, my God.
You're just advertising that you got a gun in your car. It's stupid.
Right.
So stupid.
Yep.
It's like, I'm going to get like a big sticker that's like, I love collecting gold Rolexes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Oh, my God.
Crazy.
Yeah, just put the target on your back a little bit.
Know. Thieves really are the worst, though. It's like, I understand being down on your luck. You got to make some quick cash or whatever. You had a hard life. So just sell drugs.
Right.
Don't steal from people. Sell drugs.
Yeah, and I'm all for just like, if you shoplift a little bit, or if you're willing to take a risk stealing something in a store, fine. But stealing from individuals,
right?
To me, there's something just inherently wrong about that.
Yeah,
fucked up.
It really is. I mean, it's a pretty like, it's not the most evil, but it's a pretty like legitimately evil.
Yeah, it says something about you for sure.
Absolutely.
It's not beheading a cat on the playground bad, but
it's not.
I remember one time, and this was years ago. By years ago, I mean like maybe like 6-7 years ago. This is back when I was crazier, drinking a lot and shit, and pretty broke at the time. And I was in an Albertsons, and I remember I took a shit in the stall, and I turn around, and there's this dude's fucking wallet, and I open it up, and there's like $1,500.
Yeah,
there's like $1,500 bills, and I was like, a part of me immediately is like, jackpot.
Right, yeah.
And then I look at the dude's license, and this dude's like 100 years old. Like literally, he was like 86.
Oh wow.
And because I saw like when he was born and shit, and then I kind of like exhaled, and I was like, I'm not saying I'm a good person for doing this. And then I'm gonna take it to the front at this point, and I was thinking about, should I take a couple $100? I could use this. I walk by the dude, And I'm like, hey, I got your wallet. And this dude looks at me like I stole it and gets kind of mad and like snatches it. And I was like, no, it was in the stall. I'm giving it to you. And he kind of like looks up and looks at me and like walks away. So I was like, I should have taken $200 fucking dollars. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to give me like a hundo or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like you should if you have cash in your
Yeah,
wallet.
dude, it was like $1,500. It was just a wad of hundreds. And, you know, I was just like, whatever, you know, maybe this is like a payment. Because a lot of times people will have a shit ton of cash because they're about to go pay a bill or do something.
True, yeah.
So part of me in my head, I was
true.
like, maybe he needs this money for something immediately.
That's true.
So that's why I was just like, I'm not going to take anything. Fuck it. I'll do the right thing. But then his attitude and then not even giving me a thing, I was like, I should have taken something.
Yeah.
You know?
It is crazy to not be super nice and respectful of someone that brought you your wallet that had that much money in it.
Yeah, he acted like I fucking took it or something. I was like, dude.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't get that. Yeah, some people, they're just, I don't know. They very like entitled.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like to me. It's like, of course you brought it back.
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
I'm going to count all this. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, do you know who I am? Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's another one of those jokes that this one might work for a real crowd. I just got to figure out a way to like, it's like basically a one-liner, and I don't really do one-liners. So it doesn't fit my act. But I've always thought it was funny. The joke is like, if a rich person feels disrespected, they might say like, "Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?" But if a poor person feels disrespected, they'll be like, "You don't know me.
That is funny.
You don't know me, dude.
You don't know who I am." That is pretty funny.
Thanks. I need to try to do something with that. But it's like it's just such a standalone thing. I don't even know what to do with it.
Right.
You know?
Right. It needs maybe like an extra added on, like an example. Like, can you imagine so and so, and then just do it like maybe even play out a scenario of like a homeless person getting upset, like when this thing happens.
Oh right, yeah,
You know?
yeah. Like sort of turn into a story, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, or
exactly.
Yeah, or if I had just like another bit about the differences between rich and poor people, I don't know.
Yeah, like I mean, a go-to when you have a funny concept is comparing it to something like it's kind of like if, and then you say like if you're in, and then you come up with a scenario or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I have to mess around with it.
That's what most of my comedy is like comparing it, like that's like if, or just a real story, and then I just make up some shit at the end.
Oh, right.
You know, it's like 80%. This is exactly what happened. It's funny. That's why I'm telling you. It's already funny.
Yeah.
And then the final punchline of the tag is just completely made up bullshit.
Yeah. I love those because especially when you can kind of tell.
Where
you know, like, okay, this is real, and then it's like there's like the absurd punchline at the end.
Exactly.
And you know, and you know it's supposed to be silly.
And everyone knows it didn't really happen.
Yeah.
You know, but
exactly. And then I got abducted by aliens.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, oh, that's the real part.
Exactly. It's like,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it was good being back in old Tucson. I love that area.
Fucking Tucson is crazy, dude. I've always said that there's like 3 sister cities in the Southwest. It's Albuquerque, El Paso, and Tucson.
Okay.
You know, it's just like one is meth, one is fentanyl, and one is like heroin or something. They're all very fucking similar.
Tucson is by far my favorite of those.
Tucson is easily the best. I fucking hate Albuquerque for some reason.
Yeah, it's a rough place.
It's rough, man. Like, and Breaking Bad is like my favorite show.
Right.
So I'm just like, I have this relationship with Albuquerque, and I used to do stand up there like every year for a few years, and it always sucked. Like the shows were okay, but like just the layout, it was just boring and just shitty. Like it's like a trashier version of Tucson or something.
It feels like a dying town.
Yeah, it feels like this once was flourishing and now it's dead. Like back in I feel like in the 70s it would have been like great or something, but like something has fallen off. Yeah. You know.
El Paso is kind of weird though too, because I mean, right there, Juarez, which my understanding is not a safe place.
Right.
You know, so you have some spillover from all that action happening right there on the border, and everything. But also it's like a pretty big city, so there's a lot of stuff.
They're all similar in size. El Paso's the biggest out of the 3, but
it's weird when you drive through there though. When you're driving across the border, and it's like on this side, it's like Dick's Sporting Goods, Applebee's, Buffalo Wild Wings. Over there, it's like dirt roads and huts, basically.
Right.
Yeah, it's wild. I was just I ended up watching the movie Sicario.
I don't think I've seen that.
You ever seen that?
No.
There's two of them. They're great, and they're about the cartel.
Okay, and, I love shit like that.
It's really good, and it takes place in El Paso and Juarez.
Okay,
and there's a scene in there where they're like, it looks like they're actually in. It looks like they actually filmed it in Juarez, which I guess like
probably had to get a cosign from one of the cartel guys.
I know.
All right,
it'd be hilarious.
Let me be an extra. And,
yeah, exactly. That would be hilarious. Like they're making a cartel movie, but they're, the thing is, I would bet the cartel doesn't mind when Hollywood makes them look scary.
Probably, yeah. They're just like,
we are scary.
We are scary, and let more people know that, so
right.
They don't fuck with us.
Exactly. They probably don't mind.
Right.
It's like I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be interesting to know the backstory of how all that went down, because there's this show they made it's on Paramount. I hate how there's like a million streaming platforms now. It's the worst. It's the worst. If there was one place where you could watch anything, but maybe you had to pay for it, I would be less upset about it.
Yeah, it's like worse than cable now. This was supposed to solve cable, all these channels. Now there's 50 different streaming platforms with a bunch of different content on each individual one. So it's like, now it's just like way too many.
Exactly.
And too expensive, way more. Like if you pay for every fucking streaming service, you're paying 10 times a fucking cable bill.
Yeah, but $200 a month or something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now even like Amazon is like charging
I fucking
more.
go to all the fucking illegal websites now. Like I figured out a way. I'm just like, I'm not paying for any of this shit anymore.
Yeah, I used to be very against that kind of stuff, but now I don't do it yet. But I'm like, they need to be checked on this. This is just getting out of hand. It's getting way out of hand.
Right.
But anyways, on Paramount they had this show. I forget what it's called, but it's about the making of the movie The Godfather.
Okay.
And there's an interesting backstory of that. Do you know about how the mob, the Italian mob, it was the Colombos. Joe Colombo tried to stop him from making the movie. Right?
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
They were basically like strong arming him to stop them from making the movie.
Yeah.
But then,
exposing them and shit.
Yeah, but then he kind of talked him into it, and they agreed to let them make the movie if they omitted certain things.
Okay.
Right? So there's like, I forget what it is, but if you watch the movie, I think there's no mention of the word mafia.
Oh, really?
La Cosa Nostra, which is what they're actually called, is not mentioned in the movie. There's like a few things that they actually had removed from the script.
Right. Okay.
And then they liked it. They thought it was great because it sort of like, made them look good and everything.
Without exposing or using anything that they don't want them to.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious if like something like that happened with
probably
Sicario, because I mean a big Hollywood production actually going down into Juarez and filming
could be risky.
Yeah, it looked like they were there. I mean, they would have had. I mean, because I've seen it right across the border. You drive a million times. I mean, it looked just like those houses. It looked exactly the same.
Right. They probably did.
Yeah, unless there's a place. I don't know. They just filmed it in L.A. That's what it was.
Oh, my God. It's funny, like in the 80s, every fucking movie was in L.A.
Yeah.
No matter the kind of movie, the genre, it was always just fucking Los Angeles every fucking time.
Yep.
I'm like, good Lord. Or just California has just surrounding cities like around LA can look dramatically different.
Oh, right.
So it's just like I'll stream a movie and I'll like, where was this film? This looks like Utah or fucking Colorado. And it's like, no, it's like 20 minutes outside of LA.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I know. I hate that. That happens to me a lot. Yeah, you look it up and you're like, damn. Oh, this looks like it's on location or whatever.
Yeah.
Nope. Yep. LA.
That's funny. So, not to gloss over you mentioning Tucson, because you were just there again. How were those shows?
They were good, yeah. It's always great. Like, Laughs always.
That's a great room.
It's such a great club.
Yeah.
I also love how it's set up. Like, people who don't know, like comedy clubs are all a little different. And a lot of them, it seems like, at least like a lot of the ones I've done, the green room is like very attached like to the stage.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's this, once you're in the green room and you're about to go up, you're kind of like isolated from the room.
Yes.
Before you go on. And that's really how most clubs are, at least the ones I've done.
Right.
But Laughs, they have the green room in the very back, and then they have this like little side room.
Sound booth room
where you're like, you can kind of be in the room before you go on, which is so important as a comic because you want to be able to feel what the energy was right as you go up.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you want to have like a riff based on something that somebody said.
For sure.
And a lot of clubs you can't do that. Like I remember I did this club, a great club, LA Comedy Club in Vegas.
Okay, that's moved so many different times.
It's in the Strat now.
Okay, I did it when it was in like Bally's or something.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's moved like twice since then.
Okay, wow. But there's at least the one in the Strat.
Yeah,
it's set up like, you ever done one of those clubs where they have they got this like little alley that goes behind the stage.
Yes.
Like this long like catwalk almost.
Yeah.
And then there's a curtain, right? So the last time, I guess the only time I did it, I got there super early and there was like no one in the room yet.
Yeah.
I go back to the green room and I kind of lose track of time because I'm back there just kind of talking with the comics and stuff or whatever. And then it comes time for me to go on and I haven't even been in the room since people were there.
Right.
So I walk down this little catwalk, and they're like, all right, John Hickok. And then I come through the curtain, and then it's just a room full of people.
Oh my
like, there was a second where I was just kind of like, oh, shit.
Yeah, like, whoa.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, yeah, this is what I wanted,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess there's something to that, like, abrupt feeling of like, oh, I'm on stage now.
Right.
But I kind of like being in the room and going up.
For sure. I do, too. Like watching the comic before me, too.
Right.
Some people don't like watching the comic before them. I'm like, why?
It's weird, yeah.
I know Rogan says this thing too. On like, for a second, I kind of believed it, but like, I don't have the same mentality when it comes to what he said. He said that he can't watch a comedian bomb or it makes him feel like nothing can be funny. It's like, it makes me feel funnier, if anything. I'm like, I can do way better than this.
Right, exactly.
It like pumps me. I mean, I'm not, I don't want someone to fail or like use them to make me feel better, but it definitely doesn't make me get discouraged and feel like, oh shit,
Yeah, it never does me either. I want to know though.
Yeah.
Because one time I went up at Zany's in Nashville.
Yeah.
And a comic went up before me. It was some out of towner and just bombed really bad, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I couldn't hear,
Right.
And I go out on stage and I'm just going there just doing my stuff or whatever. And I could feel they were a little bit tight.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and then if I remember correctly, it ended up being fine. It's a good room. And I remember talking to someone about it afterwards, and whether they were like telling me, it's good set or whatever. And they were like, especially after what you had to follow, and I was like, what? And they were like, oh, you didn't see? Like, oh, they bombed hard.
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh, okay, that explains why it felt a little tight when I went up there. But see, if I had known that, I would have gone up there and kind of expected it a little bit.
Right.
And then just kind of like work through it instead of being like, oh, they didn't like my first joke,
Right. It's so weird how audiences can like sniff out and just sense like what's going on in your head almost.
Right.
Like if you're up there on autopilot or you're not confident or you're just kind of just not selling a joke, sometimes you can get away with it. But I usually feel that there's like when I'm not present and like really feeling it, sometimes there's just like a 30% less reaction from the crowd.
Absolutely.
It's a really weird thing because I don't know how to necessarily explain it.
Yeah.
But it's just like they can tell that you're fucking not being authentic right now. Like you're kind of just up there.
Absolutely. I heard some really good advice from a comic. I forgot who it was. Some headliner. I think it might have been Cliff Cash. I can't remember. Some headliner I was working with. It's all starting to run together. I've been on the road for like 3 weeks at this point.
Right.
But he was like, you can be anything you want on stage. You can be anything you want except for uncomfortable.
Right.
That's the only thing as a comic you're not allowed to be.
Right.
And I was like, God damn, that's
simple,
very true. But brilliant. That's the one thing you have to nail. Regardless of what you're doing up there, what your thing is, character, being yourself, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're uncomfortable, it's not gonna work, or it's not gonna be as good as it could be.
For sure. Yeah, they can tell.
Yeah, just the same way that we can feel information. There's like a lot of information being exchanged.
Oh yeah,
at a show. You can feel like there's different types. One thing I like to talk about is there's different types of silence.
For sure.
From the crowd, right? Have you ever noticed how you can have a joke bomb, and you can feel the difference between they just didn't find it funny or they didn't get it, versus like they had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Or they don't like you.
Absolutely. And then there's different types. Sometimes there's good silence too.
Oh, right.
Like in the middle of like, I mean, you don't want to do a fucking punchline. But if you have them captivated and it feels like endearing, they're just like, oh, they're locked in right now.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it takes a while to get to the end, and then once you do, you know, it's good. But there's times where you can almost, this doesn't make sense. You can almost like hear the silence almost because there's just like chatter and laughter and giggling to where it's just, there's a like, it almost feels you can cut the air. It's so quiet because they're like listening.
Yeah.
And it's different than a bomb though, for sure. Like even if a joke does flatline, they're both fucking technically silenced. You can tell when they're locked in, opposed to where like, oh, you're not funny.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, it's like you can feel their attention being on you or not on you.
You can literally like feel it. It's so weird. I'm just like, oh my, there's like a warmth or something going on. It's like, oh shit, all eyes are just like boom right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's very strange, and I guess the same way, like, you know, from their perspective, it's like they're all looking right at you up there.
Yeah,
and they can. Yeah, they can see anything.
People don't appreciate the exchange of like energy and just like what you're doing with an audience, because so many comedians, like, admittedly, were like kind of like self-absorbed,
right?
You know, but like a lot of comics, even when they're funny and they know what they're doing, a lot of times their whole takeaway is just like, how well did I do, or, you know, did I bomb, did I kill, that sucked, this sucked. It's like, if your main focus is just to really lock in and entertain the audience, a lot of that figures itself out. If that makes sense.
No, that's a great point.
You know, stop being so self-absorbed with like, how well am I doing? And be like, no, I want to entertain them first and foremost, and then after that, it becomes funner. Like, you know,
you can think about that when you get off stage.
Right? Yeah.
In the moment, you're just trying to have fun with this group of people.
Exactly.
And you've got this, you know, material in your in your bag, you know.
Right. Your repertoire of
exactly.
fucking jokes and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to be way more self-aware of the audience, because it's just like, it's also clearly you're the whole point of this. You're on stage with the spotlight and amplification, but it's just like, it's 200 of them and one of me. Who matters more right now? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the different feelings and different thoughts going on in their head compared to just you. It's just like, you know,
right.
You got to make it an exchange more than just like being only about yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Something I still struggle with is like, you know, because there's so many delusional comics. I spend so much time thinking about, like, okay, am I being realistic about this, or am I being honest with myself about this? Just constantly checking myself because of how much delusion I see.
Oh my God, yeah. Because sometimes I'm like, maybe there's a little bit of that sometimes, but like, what's that thing? I learned it from a comedian, which I already knew about. This comic in town named Corey Adam, who I hang out with and do shows with. He said a lot of comics have laugh ears. And I was like, what's laugh ears? It's like where they think that they're getting laughs, but they're not. And I've seen this. It's like a phenomenon.
It is.
Where comics will fucking bomb or get very minimal laughter, and they're up there like they're King Kong comedy. I'm just like, how the fuck do you think that's good?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
Or they keep telling the same shit that bombs. Because I can understand like not writing enough and you going through stuff. But if you tell something too much that works, I get that. But when you tell the same shit that bombs all the fucking time, at least bomb with different shit. If you're gonna bomb, let's fucking work at it,
right?
Like, you know.
Oh yeah, I've seen comics where like they have this opener. I know a comic, I'm not gonna name them, but they have like an opener that like never works.
Yeah,
and they just keep opening with it. It's like, what are you doing? That's never worked. I've seen you do that like 10 times. And it's never worked. It's always a weird thing to open with. What are you doing? You know?
Right. Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, but I'm always like paranoid about that. You know, because they don't know. Maybe I don't know, right? That's always like my thing. Yeah, but then sometimes that will like hurt my confidence going on stage, because I try to go on stage with from this very like humble perspective,
right?
To make sure I'm like being what I don't know. It affects me mentally sometimes because I'm so afraid of being that. But then you still have to have like confidence, up there. So the balance of that is,
there's a fine line. Like, just if you can disrupt your confidence, it can, like we said, it can fuck up just like your whole performance aspect, where they can sense, oh, this person isn't
right.
You know, who said it? Fucking Greg Fitzsimmons a few years ago had this thing. He's like, the way you become like a good comedian is not being afraid to bomb, regardless if it's going well or bad. He just go up there and just like, you want the audience to think that like you're in charge.
Right, yeah.
You know? And it's just like, if you go up there confidently, you tell something no matter what, and just the confidence alone can elevate how funny it is to them.
Right.
Because you're just like, I'm not afraid to bomb, because I've bombed so many times and I've done this so many fucking times that I'm free to say what I want. And that confidence puts it over the top, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right.
I mean, I noticed I started doing better when started worrying about that less. I went through this phase like I don't know, but several months ago where I was just I don't know, I was in this weird dry spell with writing, and that was really like hurting my confidence.
Right.
And I was also in a place where it was like I don't know, I was like I think like being new to Chicago, whenever I'd get up on these showcases, it was always an audition.
Right.
So I'm like doing the same stuff, and it was hard for me to really like take a lot of risks because it was like so important and all that.
Sure.
So it put me in this weird like stagnant spot, and then I was like, I got to get out of this somehow, and I was just like, I'm just gonna go up there with zero plan and just do whatever jokes I want, even like take some risks and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had a few bad sets doing that. But it like completely like turned that around on its head. I started writing again. It was like the lights came on,
right?
And it just like helped me so much. And I think it was a little bit of that, like what you're talking about. Whereas I just kind of got into this mindset of I'm just going to go up there and take risks and not be afraid of the consequences,
right?
Just so I can feel like a comedian again,
for sure.
You know,
because like I did this thing for a while, and I try not to do it anymore. Where you do these shit open mics, and then sometimes the room is like hot. You're like, oh shit, and then you're just like, I want to crush. So you're just like, I'm just gonna tell good jokes. But so there's times I'll bomb in front of like good crowds where like open micers are killing, and I go up there and kind of bomb because I'm like, I'm trying this new idea and I'm just taking a risk. And then a part of me, something like the egotistical part of me is just like, fuck, I want to look good too. I want to be funny in front of a hot crowd, but like, no, I just. You got to be confident enough in yourself to bomb.
I think that. See, I'm the same way. That's the mentality I have. Where, I go through that in my head where I'm just like, all right, all these open micers are doing their act right now because there's a bunch of people in here. And it's like maybe I should too. But then a lot of what I always come back to is like, you know what? An even better use of this hot crowd is trying my new stuff.
Fucking A, yeah.
Because I'm gonna get 5 open mics worth of information out of it.
Yes.
At this one spot.
Yeah.
And my act, it's like I already know what it does.
Right.
I'm not getting anything out of this.
Doing shit that works in a hot room is not going to teach you anything. You know?
Exactly.
I was like, it feels good. We all love that exchange of energy when the crowd pops and you're up there and stuff. But it's just like, at that point, it's like, what are you gaining or getting better at?
Right. Exactly. Challenging yourself, whatever you're doing. That's always how you get better at something, I feel like.
Yeah, it's funny because like I went through this mode where I was like, even if I know like this is probably not that good, I at least want to test it out. Because sometimes you just try something and it's way better than you thought it would be.
Right. Totally.
So there was a few comics who just kind of saw me bomb more or less, and then they saw me do like a real show, and they're like, holy fuck. Like I didn't even know, like I've never heard you tell that. I was like, that joke is 4 years old. I've been using that on and off as my closer. Like forever. Like, you know.
Yeah. That's one of the things that bugs me about like local comedy scenes, because that's definitely a thing where you get rewarded for doing things the wrong way.
Yeah,
and one of them is
sure.
There are those comics who like don't do a lot of open mics. They don't do a lot of sets. They don't really have a work ethic. So, but when they do show up at mics, they're doing like their best stuff.
Right.
And so whenever people see them, they have just a higher view of how good they are, because they don't see them that often, and when they do see them, they only go to like the best mics,
right?
And they're doing their best stuff.
There's like layers of how easy they're making it for them to look.
Exactly.
Doing tried and true material at safe rooms,
right?
So they're just like, oh, this person's a killer.
And if you're taking risks, like you should be, because that's the only way you're going to discover like something that's actually special. Then you're going to be bombing a lot more, which open mics are for bombing.
Right.
That's why they exist. It's so that you can take risks and experiment and try things and see if they work or not. So then they're like, oh, this guy sucks because he's like bombing all the time, because they're not like smart enough to realize like, oh, this guy is like doing different material every time I see him.
Right.
And sometimes he does do well. That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. It's very frustrating, because like everything that I was told about like what good comedians do is not what a lot of comedians respect.
Right.
In a scene.
Exactly. And people don't realize sometimes the jokes that end up being some of your best stuff, or just end up being a solid joke, need to bomb too.
Right.
Which is great, because not every joke. Sometimes jokes are just kind of good for the most part. You can always tweak and just work on it.
Yeah.
But sometimes shit needs to bomb.
Totally.
Like even last night, I did this joke where like the punchline is, kind of offensive, I guess. And I did it a couple of times at this open mic.
Yeah.
And outside of a couple of comics, it like bombed. And like the room was like decent and it bombed. And I did it again last night a little differently and it finally killed. And I was just like, finally. Like I knew this shit's fucking funny. Like I know it's a crazy thing to say, but there's funny in it. And it hit finally. It's
one of the best feelings.
It is. Because I'm like, it's great. I don't know what feels better for, they're comparable. Like a new joke crushing, like out the gate, that feels amazing. But a joke that you've been like trying to get work finally pops, that might even be better.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be right. Because there's like maybe this ain't gonna work out, and then you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because the first time you tell, I mean, that's still an incredible feeling.
Of course, it might be the best feeling.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. You might be onto something though with it's struggling and then getting it to work.
Yeah, it's more fulfilling for sure.
You have a little more invested in it. Where if it's a brand new joke, if it bombs, it's like, all right, it was never funny.
Yeah, right.
And if it never works, it's like, all right, it was never funny. Nothing lost. But,
right.
Yeah, something works and then it doesn't work, and then you have to fight to get it to work, and it's like that's
yeah. Because I've always said that the two best feelings on stage are when something new crushes and then in the moment shit. Mm-hmm. Those two feelings where you're just up there and then something happens in the audience and you say something, or you're riffing and you're crushing riffing, and then a new joke hits. Like, because old shit working is fun, right? Obviously, that's what we're doing here, but that doesn't feel good as like in the moment or new stuff. I was like those two, but now that I said that, I was like something that you've been struggling to get work finally popping like is up there with that too.
Yeah, for sure. And also like confirming something that is like you have something new, and it because even when it does well the first time, you're kind of like, well, we'll see. Right. But then there's like this residual of like a good feeling where it's like, all right, it's still working.
Right. Because sometimes shit just works once or twice and then it's just done.
I know.
It's like, okay, this is on like, it's like a losing streak for a team or something. It's like, okay, this is on a 5-game skid. I think it's time to bench it.
Totally. It is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're like, your jokes are like players on a team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's like, all right, let's try a new lineup.
Yeah.
This team likes to run up and down the court. We got to try a different lineup.
Right. I always compare comedy to sports too, because I'm just like, sometimes a good team. If I consider myself a good team, I just got blown out by the fucking Pelicans at home. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, or I beat the fucking, I beat the Celtics on the road the other night too, where every comic was bombing and I fucking crushed somehow.
That's always a great feeling. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like, sometimes I almost like shows that are a little bit tougher. Yeah. Because it's a little bit easier to shine. Whereas sometimes, like, I've had this happen a few times. It's something I've definitely got to get over, where I'll be on a show and there'll be comics going up before me that I do not respect.
Oh my God.
I do not think they're funny, and they're like killing. Right. So now, not only do I already didn't respect them, but now I don't respect the crowd. You know, so it puts me in this mindset.
Like the crowd's a hack too.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah, it's like, you guys also suck. Yeah. So it puts me in this mindset where, like, I have nothing to gain, because if I go up there and kill, it's like, well, this guy I think sucks killed, so that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. And then if I do anything less than killed, then I'm gonna really hate myself. Right. So I go up there with like a bad attitude, and then I end up not doing well. Right. And then I'm just like, what the fuck, you know?
You got to just be there to entertain and appreciate the audience. You know?
Can't let it get in your head.
Separate the two, for sure. No, I've been there before too, where like there's nights, even at some of these open mics, where even if my new shit, hits, where I'm just like, well, everyone killed. Oh, right. But I don't want them to do bad either, because that's stupid. And that's
but it's data.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's data, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because we do that too, where, I didn't have a great set, but no one else did, so it's like,
right.
Like, oh, there was a really good comic on this show, and he kind of struggled too. So
right. Yeah. It's such a selfish thing that we're doing.
It is.
Because I'm just like, because sometimes like a good comic bombs and I kill, and I'm just like, well, that means I'm really good. Like, it's like, no, but tomorrow it could be switched. It could it could flip tomorrow, where that room is feeling them more than you now. So, I mean.
Or what about this one where, like, you go up, you have a rough set.
Yeah.
Someone is going up after you who you respect and think is funny. Yeah. And it's not someone you don't like. Right. But you're kind of like, if they have a really good set, I'm gonna feel bad.
Oh my! So yeah,
You know what I mean?
sometimes I almost like want them to bomb sometimes.
Exactly, and I feel guilty for it. But it's not that I want them to have a bad set. I just want this crowd. You know what I mean? It's like I want the crowd to be so bad that the reality is that we're both having trouble,
right?
Because of how bad this crowd is.
And if they end up killing, it's just like, oh well, you know,
I was wrong.
I was wrong. You know, you got to take the L's and realize that you weren't that good tonight, or the comic is just better. Better, absolutely. So it's just like if you think about it that way, it's almost a win-win. Because if they bomb, at least you're being fair enough in your head. You're just like, all right, the crowd just sucked. And if they kill, you just give them their flowers and be like, all right, it is what it is.
Totally. The mind games, man. The mind games of comedy.
It's so fucking mental. I've learned that so much more over the years.
Yeah.
That it's such a fucking mental thing.
I think the biggest thing though, when it comes to all those like mind games, is you've got to try to be honest and realistic with yourself. Where comics really go down a bad road is they try to lie to themselves in order to protect themselves. I think you've got to figure out a way to protect yourself from a place of truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're in that situation where someone you didn't think was better than you has a much better set than you on a show, you know, it's going to fuck with your head a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, you know, bullshit, they didn't really do that good, like lying to yourself. Fuck that.
Crowd.
You know, like, oh, it was just making some excuse for your set or whatever to try to protect yourself from it. Instead of doing that, just kind of realize like, all right, this is what happened in this moment. I just got to try to do better.
Right.
You know, maybe just that crowd didn't like me as much as they liked that other comic, but I don't know. I don't really get to know those things. I just know in this moment I didn't do as well. And I've got to, regardless of why it happened, I've got to be better.
It happened and you have to improve and be better and be aware of it. Either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. That's always the answer to every bad problem in stand-up. You have to be better. You know, why am I not getting this opportunity?
Yeah, I feel like holding yourself accountable. I mean, still being realistic about it, though, not just being like, oh, it's always me. But it's better for you to say it's always me than to find excuses.
Yep.
Because in either way, you're holding yourself accountable and, you know, you get what I'm saying, though?
Right.
Because if you're just always like, well, the crowd sucked and so-and-so is a killer and he bombed too, it's like, well, you're not going to get better thinking that way.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, if you're just like, okay, I ate shit, here's what I could have done differently, or, you know, chalk it up as an L, do what you have to do. But either way, you know, holding yourself accountable is always going to be better. You know, even if you like it is the crowd, it's still, you know.
Right. It's the thing you can control. You can improve yourself.
Yeah.
You can't control what the crowd's going to be or whatever.
Right.
But I definitely will like worry about it more or less depending on, you know, the situation.
Oh, for sure.
If it's like a really rough show and like no one did well, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
No, exactly.
But if I had a really bad set and a lot of comics did well and they weren't just like people I already knew were in another stratosphere from where I'm at, then I'm going to be like, all right, I got to figure some things out here.
Like, well, of course he crushed. He's a hack. You know, it's easy to be a hack.
Right. Sometimes that happens.
It does happen, man.
It does.
There's a reason like street jokes and basic premises exist in life because it's fast and easy and everyone gets it. So it's just like, you know, it's not, you know, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah. And also if people are listening, they're just like, well, this is all this inside baseball talk of comedy. Really what we're talking about though is true for almost everything.
Yeah.
It's just, you could translate exactly what we're talking about to like probably almost any other industry.
Right.
I mean, it's all the same.
Probably some musicians listening that know.
Oh, for sure. You know, music is probably the problems we deal with in comedy. Music has got to be way worse.
Oh yeah.
Because at least in comedy, you have
full
this
fucking control.
Yeah, it's all you, and then you also have this like undeniable thing that if you do kill, no one can. You know, maybe if a hack kills, okay, but you still can't deny how loud the laughter was.
Oh yeah, it's like an objective thing that happens.
Exactly.
You know?
Whereas with music, you know, you don't always get those kind of reactions.
Well, just like I started off making music, you know, rapping, making beats and stuff, and I performed on stage several times rapping, and you know, musicians who kind of transition into comedy sometimes. It's like, well, I've been on stage a bunch, blah blah blah. I'm like, it's not the fucking same thing at all, even close to it. It's like you're up there. You jam out, do your fucking song, people clap, cheer, even if you can't really tell. I mean, sure, if the crowd is just like, look at this dude. But if you're crushing with music, like there's just a absolute, like, you can tell if someone's bombing or killing, like, immediately. Like, if you're up there, you're just a dude talking, and when you're just a dude talking in comedy, you're bombing.
Right.
In music, you can be ripping it up and killing it, and you're gonna get the same clapter and So it's a way different requirement.
Yeah, exactly. Because people enjoy it in a different way.
Right.
Because I've been to concerts where like I probably didn't even look like I was enjoying it, but I was like, "This is awesome."
Oh yeah, you're just standing there like,
hell yeah, this is great. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I guess we'll probably wrap this up. We're gonna go eat some damn barbecue.
Yeah, fucking Texas barbecue.
Hell yeah, we'll probably hit up the old Terry Black's.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to wait in line forever.
I know.
It's not been like last times I've been out here. It's not been too bad, but
no, it's Friday, so
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see for sure.
We'll just wave some guns around.
Right? It's like who this is.
Yeah, I've got a front of the line pass right here. It's a Glock 19.
Right. So it's the old 1911 here.
Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah, man! Thanks for coming on.
Fun. Can I plug my?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah. You got a podcast. I'll put before you plug it. I'll put the link in the description.
Oh hell yeah!
For this.
Yeah, I have a podcast called the Ollie USA podcast, available pretty much everywhere you get podcasts. You were on it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out, and just look me up on YouTube, Ollie USA 86, and yeah.
Hell yeah! I'll put the links in the description. So
cool, man.
Look out for that.
Appreciate that.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you guys next time.